unless you mention it, people wouldn't know that you're disabled.
My ability to deal with mental health all stemmed from my kind of diagnosis with something called Crohn's disease. Nobody knows I have a stoma bag. I feel a lot healthier now. I have more energy. I can eat what I like. And if anything, it's made me more confident than I have ever been. I put a lot of pressure on myself to live up to certain expectations I've set myself. And whether that's just the societal pressures of like being a man and being financially stable, these things are always running through my mind, and I guarantee like 99.9% of men think about the same thing.
They said to me, I don't think I've ever had a conversation around feelings with any of my mates.
A standard, man. I think men don't really talk about that stuff. Don't wait for someone to come to you and say they're not feeling the best. You know, if you notice things are out of character, take the initiative and maybe ask the questions and initiate that conversation. Someone always has to start the slow clap and everyone else joins in afterwards, you know? Maybe you have to be the person that initiates the clap.
Hello and welcome to the Purple God podcast. Today we have a special guest, Moeed, that he will introduce himself in a moment. But today's podcast is about mental health and men's mental health. As you might know, lots of struggle every year, and we wanted to have a conversation around this so that we can raise awareness, so that many conversations will follow after this. So before we start, just wanted to say a disclaimer that this is just an informative episode. If you're struggling, please find a professional and look for help. Okay, now Moeed.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us. Would you mind introducing yourself?
I would not. Hi, Carmen. Hi, everyone. How's it going? Thank you for having me. My name is Moeed Majeed, Londoner. I'm a podcast producer. I make videos online, and I do a little bit of it's weird, I don't like saying it, but modelling. I don't know why, it always just sounds narcissistic. But yeah, no, I do a bit of that. Some shoots every now and again. And yeah, very happy to be here to talk about mental health. It's definitely something that affects everyone. And I think more prominently in men at the moment, because there's always been this stigma about, you know, men talking about mental health. So very happy to be here to discuss that with you today.
Nice. So to start with, I just want you to talk about your own journey with mental health. That's okay.
Sure. Yeah, again, like a guy that's just like early 30s, living in London, fast pace, all this kind of, you know, the pressure that's put on men, that's put on people that live in a big city. You know, it's very difficult to kind of navigate sometimes. And my journey with mental health has, like everyone's, been up and down. There's been times where I've, you know, found it very difficult and had to like isolate myself in order to try and figure things out. But I suppose it all stemmed, or my ability to deal with mental health all stemmed from my kind of diagnosis with something called Crohn's disease, which is an inflammatory bowel disease. And the period of like 6 or 7 years where I was like really, I hate using the word, but like suffering with symptoms, it really kind of built a certain level of kind of like resilience and character. And I feel like, you know, having gone through that, you know, when I face challenges which are inevitable, that everyone goes through, I feel like I have a bit more of a kind of roadmap to follow, having gone through that kind of like traumatic experience. But yeah, I deal with mental health all the time with people, with like everyone else, you know, ups, downs. The main thing is like when you're in these moments, you kind of like just live with them and understand that you're going to get through it. I think it's just difficult when you are in this kind of negative spiral and then you allow it to consume you, and that's when things start to get out of hand. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. As you've mentioned, you have a disability. How has that impacted your mental health, especially because it's a hidden disability? So people, unless you mention it, people wouldn't know that you're disabled. So could you expand a bit on that?
Sure. So yeah, I've got, like I said, Crohn's disease. I had surgery, so I've got a stoma bag, which technically means I'm disabled, although I can pretty much do everything I want to do. You know, I think again, there's this like mindset that, you know, disabled people have to be like in a wheelchair, or, you know, it has to be visible, which is obviously not the case. And I think it does a disservice to everyone who's like living with something, because everyone has their own ways of dealing with it. Obviously with me, I'm very just like outspoken and can I say I'll call myself charismatic? I don't know, just confident. I'm confident in myself, and I'm secure in myself. But that's all like stemmed from this experience I spoke about previously, you know, having gone through 7 years of like just turmoil. So yeah, like you mentioned, nobody knows I have a stoma bag until I mention it, and I'm happy to speak about it. But I was always that guy that didn't want to be known for having a stoma bag. I don't want it to be at the forefront of my personality. You know, people always tell me I should like post about it more online, but I just like I feel like I have so much more to offer other than like my
Yeah, it's
condition.
it's like personal choice.
My disability. So yeah, it's cool. Like I said, I've dealt with it in a way which it suits me, which is to be very open about it, but also I feel like I've become a lot more confident off the back of the surgery because now I'm able to live a lifestyle I didn't think I was going to be able to live, you know, before surgery. You know, I feel a lot healthier now. I have more energy. I can eat what I like, and if anything, it's made me more confident than I have ever been. You know, and you know, me sitting in a hospital bed before the surgery, I was thinking, yo, like my life is going to be rubbish, when in actual fact it's the complete opposite.
Yeah. So during that process, did you at any point talk to anyone about how you were feeling? Did you seek help? How was that?
Again, like your family are always there for you, your friends are always there for you, but it's very difficult to connect to people when you haven't been through like the similar lived
Yeah.
experience. Now, obviously, emotional support is great, and you know, family obviously they just want the best for you, but there's like certain things they just can't help with. So when I first got diagnosed, this was like in the inception of Instagram. I know, showing my age. This is a long, long time ago. So there was like a blog page. There was a few charities. I kind of like signed up to the newsletter and stuff. I posted like I think it was 2011. I posted a blog post like really just telling everyone how I felt, and people were commenting on it. It was like very surreal. But when I first got diagnosed, I was in university, and there's like a disability service, and they were really nice to me, and they, you know, really helped me, you know, deal with the onset of this, you know, new life, big life, drastic life change, you know, because it was something that would encompass like every aspect of my life, and I wasn't dealing with that well at the start. So through that disability service at my university, they assigned me like a counselor. And at the time, I didn't understand like the magnitude of what like she was doing to help me come to terms with everything. But I'd go there every week, and we'd talk for like an hour, and I would just like pour my heart out. And at the end of it, I'd be like an emotional wreck. But it really helped me because
Crying is great.
oh yeah, nah, man, it was like I'm a bit of an emotional guy. I'm not gonna lie. In movies, especially, man, I'm always bawling my eyes out. Has to be done there, man. You can't keep those feelings in.
So was there anything that, now looking back, that any support or any help that you think could have been useful to you?
I suppose I think it's very important to be able to express yourself and how you're feeling to people, whether it be professional help or just friends or family, and not keep all of that kind of anxiety or the emotions pent up inside you. I think that's the worst thing to do. Well, that's what obviously everyone deals with things in their own way, but that's what I'd think is the wrong way to go about things. I think if you're able to speak about things openly, not only does it like help people understand your situation, it allows you to come to terms with the situation you're in, you know? Because if you're on your own and you're just, you know, your mind is racing, you know, our mind is our own worst enemy, man. We end up just digging a big hole for ourselves, and it's very difficult to crawl back out of that, you know? So the way I dealt with it was I was just very open with my situation. I spoke to people. I made friends online, and now there's this big community of like IBD people who are, you know, support each other and, you know, talk about the things we're going through. So I think it's just very important to find like your tribe. They say, you know, find your tribe, find your people, just connect with them, and don't be afraid.
Group.
Sorry?
That support group that has that same lived experience.
Exactly that. I think it's vital. And, you know, everyone's on their own level, you know. Someone might be very confident, someone might not be as confident. But I think when everyone's able to come together for like a unified goal or just like helping each other, I think it's a beautiful thing to see for sure.
Okay. So you identifying as a man, how do you think that affected all of this experience? Because we were talking about how, you know, society sees the figure of a man as like the dominant, the one that, you know, has to be the one in charge. You can't really show emotions. So do you think that affected you in any way? Not even that, but like that at that time, but like at any point in your life when you've struggled with mental health?
I think that, yeah, for sure, you know, there's definitely, I put a lot of pressure on myself to live up to certain expectations I've set myself. And whether that's just the societal pressures of like being a man and being financially stable and like being a caregiver, or like the person that kind of has to like take care of people. You know, these things are always running through my mind, and I guarantee like 99.9% of men think about the same thing. And when you live in a big city like London, you know, you see successful people all the time on social media. You know, these kind of scenarios are always running through your head. So when you get a setback like how I did, and you know, for basically 7 years you don't do anything, you're just sitting in a hospital bed comparing yourself to other people. Is a very toxic kind of trait, you know. And it really affected me negatively, because I'd see my friends in university, you know, excelling, getting married, buying houses and cars, and there I was like doing absolutely nothing, and it was a horrible feeling. But it took me a few years to come to terms with, again, this situation I was in, and really understand that, you know, this is my trajectory and I just have to deal with this. Like, these are the cards I've been dealt. Now I either fold or I go all in, and I don't like folding, so I just had to put all my chips in. And I was like, yo man, all on red. And you know, it's going okay so far. Obviously there are times where it's just a bit up and down, but that's expected, that's natural. I think I've got this goal and this kind of like these aspirations for myself that really keep me going, and there's always roadblocks and humps along the road, but going through this experience again has helped me, or taught me, how to deal with these things and how menial they actually are. So I don't allow myself to work up, or work these scenarios up into something they're not. And I just try and coast through, and again, always thinking about where I want to be, and grateful that I'm healthy again. And just, yeah, riding the wave, man, enjoying it, bringing good vibes, chatting to people, having fun, enjoying life. That's kind of like my motto.
Love that. So before we were filming this episode, I was messaging men in my life to kind of get their perspective around this topic, and asking if they wanted me to ask you anything. And it was really interesting, because there was someone that said to me, and I feel like we know, like we're aware that men, sometimes when it comes to mental health, there's more of a struggle there a lot of the time, because there's that like societal pressure and you know, like expectations that you have in men. But they said to me, I don't think I've ever had a conversation around feelings with any of my mates. And like, that was crazy to me, because I talk about feelings all the time. I love that. Like with my friends, whether they're, you know, whichever gender they are. But it was interesting to hear that. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, if you've experienced that.
A standard, man. I think men don't really talk about that stuff. I think I'm lucky in that most of the time I'm able to express myself. But again, it's just about the people you're speaking to as well. Do they reciprocate those emotions? Are they emotionally stable? Are they emotionally aware? And yeah, I think it's slowly coming to the forefront of like men's conversations. But yeah, like that's probably the last thing a group of guys would talk about. You know, you want to talk about everything else under the sun other than feelings. But again, like I said, I think, you know, as time goes on, and you know, I've definitely had deep conversations with my guy friends, and you know, we've touched a few nerves, and yeah. But again, that's later in life. If you're talking about earlier in life, yeah, maybe anything below 18, I probably didn't speak about anything.
Okay.
From 18, a little bit more, I suppose, like post 25, 26, that's when I'm like, yeah, I can talk about this to anyone. But again, it all reflects the experiences I had in my life, and the time I was able to spend with myself, because it's a lonely road, like being in hospital all the time and being sick all the time. And so I had a lot of like time to introspect, or a lot of introspection. And, you know, what came out of that was this person, me, who has accepted the journey he's on, and who is happy to talk about it to anybody.
Okay. From your perspective, is there anything that you think any, like me or any other people that might be listening or watching, that are thinking, oh, is there anything that we can do to help, or to help in any way when it comes to, you know, making it easier for men to talk about these things, or to support in any way?
For sure, I think, ways people, if they want to help, can help is just don't wait for someone to come to you and say they're not feeling the best. If you notice things are out of character, or if you see someone, see your friend that is down, just take the initiative and maybe ask the questions and initiate that conversation and make them feel comfortable enough to share that with you, show you care. Because you don't want someone who just to ask for no reason and doesn't really give a damn. You want to be able to have those like actual deep conversations with someone. I think they would really appreciate that. I know I definitely would if someone came up to me and like, yo, what's going on? Like, are you okay? Like, I'm here, da da da. So I think that's super important. And if you genuinely want to help, then yeah, just if you notice someone who isn't, being themselves, their usual selves, then maybe just ask the question and make them feel comfortable enough to share those experiences with you.
So you've mentioned previously around social media and kind of like finding a community of like IBD people. How has been your relationship with social media, and has it had any impact on your mental health?
I think is a fine line with social media and how it can impact your mental health. I think there's fantastic aspects to it, the connectivity, being able to talk to someone from across the world, like with the touch of a few buttons. And, like I said before, or like you just mentioned, like building a community. I think that all those aspects are fantastic. But then, when you get consumed by it, that's when things start to get a bit sticky. And I've definitely been consumed by it. Even now, like because I work with it, I spend way too much time on it. My brain just gets fried. And then you lose track of like what you actually want to do in life, all this kind of like short dopamine hits, like it's so nice, but it's so like detrimental, I think. So if you're able to use social media for the positives and like it's like I said, like connect with people, maybe ask questions you wouldn't be able to ask to people in your circle, find people that, inspire you or, uplift you or make you feel like you can do the things you want to actually do in life. I think that's fantastic, and there are definitely those people out there, and social media can be used for that.
Yeah.
I just think that unfortunately the majority of people don't use it for that. And you look at people on Instagram and you compare yourself and you think that this life that they live is impossible to achieve, and envy, and then even worse like jealousy and stuff like that.
Yeah, comparison is a thief of joy.
Bars, exactly that. Yeah, that's a good one. So if you're able to kind of regulate your use of social media, I think it's a fantastic tool. But yeah, I think giving yourself reality checks as well and grounding yourself. Like I go to the gym now and I leave my phone at home because I know I'll just waste time on it. I've got, and those, I have all those like filters on my like limiters on my phone, and I just ignore them all the time. Literally 1.5 hours, I'm like ignore. 2 hours, ignore. That's the thing though, like I've realized if you use social media to message, that's where the time is spent. Because you've got WhatsApp, you've got text message, you've got all those kind of like instant chat apps or alternatives or platforms or whatever. But yeah, I think I spend too much time like messaging people on Instagram because you get response to your story and comments, and someone's like, oh my God, look at this. So yeah, if you're able to like regulate a balance and find a balance, I think social media is fantastic. It has definitely had a more positive than negative effect on me, I'd say. And the negativity only stems from my inability to control myself.
Okay. In terms of like how much you use
How much I use the app, yeah.
Okay.
Rabbit holes, man. I've been stuck in a few.
Something that I always say is that we got thrown social media at us with no manual. And then we kind of had to navigate how to use it. And then it's now after a few years that we're realizing, the things that are good for us, the things that are not so good. But yeah, I completely agree with lots of the things that you say. Is there anything, or well, not anything, is there anyone in particular on social media that in terms of men and mental health that you particularly look up to or that inspire you in any way, or that you've connected with that kind of share the same values?
Good question. I'm going to be controversial. I'm going to say I'm happy and I'm proud of myself because I feel like I'm able to, share these experiences in a very candid, authentic way. And, I've never said this before, but thinking about it, yeah. And, people are able to connect to that, and I really appreciate that. But in terms of who people I follow, yeah, I met Misha, who is Mr. Crohn's colitis. I met him in real life the other day at Unhidden's London Fashion Week show. We've been friends for a few years online, but that was the first time I met him. So yeah, he's someone that I kind of follow. There's a bunch of people. IBD Life, my friend Ant, he does great things. There's a girl called Charlotte Amy Louise. And these are just people with IBD, but then there's the outside sphere. I met a girl called Sophie J. Butler, also at the show, but I did a round table for you guys with her.
Oh yeah.
yeah. And she's a wheelchair user, and she became disabled like later into her life. So she's got her own story, and just meeting all these kind of inspiring people is reassuring, because it shows you that regardless of the scenarios that you're dealt, people can come through it, and if they come through it, then why can't you?
So I've seen some other people on social media talking more about men's mental health. So I've seen this guy called Max Selwood. I hope I said your name right. But it's just interesting, because there's not like that many people that I know that talk about these topics. So I think this is just like a call for everyone, every man out there that has been thinking, oh, I want to talk about this.
Do it.
Yeah,
just talk, man. I'm sure there's loads of people that you are completely unaware of who want to have this conversation, but just don't know where to start. And sometimes you just got to be the guy that starts, like in movies, the slow clap. Someone always has to start the slow clap, and everyone else joins in afterwards, So maybe you have to be the person that initiates the clap.
Do you have any, from your own experience, well, I was going to say, do you have any advice when it comes to social media? And you said you ignore your own limits that you put. So, yeah. But what advice do you think?
Well, advice I would give for social media is to, just make sure you're following people that offer you value to your life, and not just mind-numbing nonsense, which is easier said than done. And if you have a certain goal, if it's, for example, to be like the best dancer in the world, then follow accounts that are going to help you go in that direction. I think it's just a waste of time to do anything else, to be honest. That's my honest opinion. I got Instagram 10 years ago when it first came out. My God, I was just like at the end of university. So
I was in high school.
What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say? So
okay, continue.
Yeah. Now, okay, I'm old. Yeah, cool. I'm not old, but I think social media, you just again use it to uplift you and augment you and push you in the right direction, and don't like get lost in it, scrolling and watching nonsense, because you're just wasting your own time, to be honest. And yeah, man, you have so much more to give than just wasting time on social media.
And when it comes to just like mental health, do you have any advice from your own lived experience that you could give like any men out there?
Yes, boys, guys, men. I think that from personal experience, I'm talking to you. From personal experience, I think what really helped me was just becoming very comfortable and secure within myself. And that in itself was a rocky road. But until you learn to be happy with who you are and understand this is the situation you're in and this is how it's going to be, it's very difficult to kind of do anything with confidence, I don't think, personally. So, don't get me wrong, there are moments where I still feel like, oh my God, like insecure. I have insecure moments, but I know they're just moments. And deep down, I'm happy with myself, and I'm trying to be myself in all scenarios and all situations. I don't try and, put on a facade. And for me, that's the way I deal with it. But also humor for me, I just laugh about everything. I like to make jokes about everything, including myself, mostly myself. My stoma as well. Like, I just crack jokes. I like having fun. I like bantering people, and I suppose that's the way I deal with things. I think everyone has their own way to deal with scenarios and situations, and you just got to find yours. And me being happy with myself and loving myself and secure in myself helped me find those things. And just talk, man. Talk to people, talk to friends, talk to family. If you're too shy to do that, there's people online that will happily you know, just give you their time. People message me randomly all the time, and I'm more than happy to like send them voice notes on Insta or whatever. So yeah, don't be afraid to just like email someone or message someone, and that goes with any aspect of life, looking for a job or whatever. Just email, man. What's the worst that's gonna happen?
I think it's a lot of the time it's that first step of, you know, going and talking to someone or sending a message. Like many times I've met a lot of friends through social media, and many of those times it's been me sending them a message. And before that, I like just plan the message in my head to don't sound like a crazy person. And then when we actually become friends and they talk about, you know, me reaching out, they're like, oh, that was so like so sweet. I was so excited to see that message. And it's like, usually 90% of the time, that's the reaction that you're going to get. But it's that first step that is always the hardest. And you're like, yeah, I don't want to come across as like a bit weird for doing this, or, you know, who's going to message. Like there's an app, now that we're talking about like friends, called
Hinge. No.
I don't think
No.
that's for
Oh,
friends.
sorry. Cool.
It could be. Wouldn't recommend. It's called Bumble BFF or Bumble for
Oh,
Friends.
Bumble BFF.
Yeah. So
Same thing as Hinge, man. I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that.
Okay. Yeah. So I've even met like people through there, and I've had men in my life when I've told them about, you know, me using that, asking, oh, are there any guys there? Because they're like, I feel like deep down they're excited to like meet someone, but they will just feel weird being like, hey, do you want to become friends? What do you like doing? But I feel like there should be something. There should be some type of I'm sure there are communities and support groups, but I feel like sometimes with those things it can feel a bit daunting, and I feel like it's like, oh, it's too serious for me to like join a support group. And you know, if it works for you, that's amazing. But I think it will be good for men. And obviously, I'm not like, I'm a woman, so obviously all men out there might be thinking, oh no, she's just talking rubbish. But I think it will be good to have like some type of platform or app for men to feel comfortable to like talk about these things or make friends, but without that, I guess, not stigma, but that feeling of, this is just a bit weird, mate. Like, I don't want to do this.
No, I get you. I think, yeah, I'm sure there's platforms out there. Again, social media can be used for this.
Yes.
But dedicated platforms, dedicated apps, again, I don't know of any, but I haven't really looked. But if there isn't, then someone needs to get up and get that done, man. Get the coding done, get that app out.
Yeah.
You know, and
But the first idea came here, so I need
you need to get the, what's it called, the patent or whatever.
the rights. No, what is it?
The copyright.
Whatever.
I don't know, man.
need
The
that.
app right. Who knows what it is? But yeah, no, I think it's a great idea, and I think, yeah, like you said, people react differently to certain situations. So some people might prefer going to like help groups or like be in person, and others might be terrified of leaving their house, so they could do something online. I think the main thing is just to know your options and what is out there. So, okay, I can go here, I can call this number, I can email this person, or I can, you know, do a phone call here, like whatever it is, just know your options and understand that you're not alone. And, you know, there are people here who want to speak to you in person, email, however it is. And people care about you as well, man. It's super important to know that.
Yeah, I think also, obviously, depending on what you might be going through, we'll leave some like help resources in the description of the video as well. But yeah, if you need to talk to a professional, go and do that. I'm sure there are like community groups, support groups, charities. I know Mind is a good organization as well. Or even if, you know, what you're looking for is just you've moved to a new place, you're looking for, you know, new people, because I know that can be quite daunting. Find groups, like if you like sports, find like sport clubs or people that like whatever you like. Or yeah, like go out. I think it's sometimes getting out of your comfort zone and doing things that will make you feel vulnerable, but that's not a bad thing.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's an emotion we all go through, and I think it's important just to be aware of it.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to express it, or like just make sure you understand what you're going through and be like, okay, cool, this is what it is, and this is how I deal with it, and it'll definitely help you in the long term.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about or mention?
I think closing statements.
Okay.
No, I just think, it's a very important topic, mental health in general, men's mental health specifically. I think, the people that, take their lives, or the majority of people that take their lives are young men who are just unable to deal with the scenarios and situations they're in. So I think it's important to talk about it in schools. I think it's important to talk about it in workplaces. I think it's important to talk about it amongst friends and family. Again, being from like a South Asian background, it wasn't really, spoken about that, too much. I think there's a lot of like ethnically diverse or minority ethnic people who kind of brush over these topics. To be honest, I think it's everyone. It's very rare where, there's a generation of people that have always been happy to talk about mental health. So I think we should be the generation that, makes it normal, that makes it just a thing to be able to talk about. And I think once you understand what it is, you're able to, build this kind of like bulletproof vest of just like self-defense. And again, it's not about always blocking out things. It's just about, being aware of them and understanding, this is how I feel right now, but this is how it's going to be. I'm going to get through this.
Yeah.
Because, I think that, people just tend to get overwhelmed and consumed, and that's when things start to get a bit iffy. So, whenever I feel bad, I'm like, cool, this is how I feel right now, but this is how I want to feel, and this is how I'm going to get there. And it's cool to feel like this. It's normal. We're human beings. We're emotional creatures. We have our fluctuations, but, this is how it's going to be. I'm going to get back to that. But yeah, this is how I feel right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. Don't let it, be aware of those emotions, be aware of what's going on, but don't let it, consume you, don't let it affect you. It's going to affect you at some point, and maybe cry for a bit, be sad for a bit. I sometimes say I'm allowing myself to be sad for 30 minutes, and then I'm tired of being sad.
I get that.
That's
good actually. That's a good one.
Yeah, sometimes it's like you have to embrace all of those emotions, but then it's like, that's not going to ruin my day.
Facts.
So.
I like that one.
But yeah, thank you so much for joining us and to sharing your mental health journey as well. And I hope this episode was useful for anyone listening and watching. And if you have any resources that will be useful, leave them in the comments below. Or if you have any other topics that you'd like us to cover, also let us know. But thank you so much.
Thank you.